Okay, properties of solvents. Some solvents can be hydrophilic, meaning that they dissolve in water. Others, and examples of these would be ionic compounds and polar substances. There are also hydrophobic solvents. These are things that tend not to dissolve, or hydrophobic molecules that do not dissolve in waters. And they engage in hydrophobic interactions. So when you think hydrophobic, think things that have lots of C's and H's. And when you think hydrophilic, look for oxygens and nitrogens. Things that are amphipathic have both regions that are hydrophilic and hydrophobic, and an example of this would be the fatty acid sodium palmitate. So again, hydrophilic, polar, alcohols, ketones, sugars in biomolecules, ionic compounds like potassium chloride, amino acids, and phosphate esters. Hydrophobic would be things like hexane, fatty acids, and cholesterol. This is the example of sodium palmitate. This is the salt of a fatty acid. So this part of it here has all these carbons and hydrogen. So this is hydrophobic or nonpolar. And then what we call the head group is this carboxylic acid, and it's in complex with the sodium ion. This is polar. So that's amphipathic. And when you have amphipathic compounds, they can form micelles, which are used effectively as soaps. Importantly, we want to understand hydrogen bonds. So in a hydrogen bond, you have and this is showing between water and an oxygen, the partial positive charge on this hydrogen is oriented towards the partial negative. So this is a dipole interaction. And hydrogens that can participate in hydrogen bonds must be attached to an oxygen or a nitrogen to be a hydrogen bond donor. So those hydrogens can participate in hydrogen bonds. What cannot participate is a hydrogen bond. In a hydrogen bond is a hydrogen that is covalently bound to carbon. That hydrogen cannot participate in a hydrogen bond. So this is showing us representation of possible hydrogen bonds between water molecules here and between ammonia here. So this hydrogen is covalently bound to nitrogen, as is this one, and so they can participate in hydrogen bonds. This hydrogen is covalently bound to an oxygen, so it can also participate in hydrogen bonds, and then this one is covalently bonded to fluorine and can participate as well. This is showing the three-dimensional arrangement of hydrogen bonds in water. This is showing water molecules hydrogen bonding to each other. Notice that in this central water molecule, there are two hydrogen bond donors, one here and one here. And then the unbonded pairs of electrons are hydrogen bond acceptors. So acceptor, oops, that's not spelled right. Acceptor, donor. So each water molecule can accept two hydrogen bonds and donate two hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds in general with hydrogens attached to nitrogen are a bit weaker than hydrogen bonds attached to oxygen. And remember, methane cannot participate in hydrogen bonds. And the more hydrogen bonds something has, and the stronger, the higher the boiling point. So water has a boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius, ammonia minus 33, methane minus 161. These are examples of hydrogen bonds. Here we have an alcohol in water, a ketone in water, and an amine in water. These are all examples. You may want to pause the recording and take a time to take a moment to look at these. And here they are a little bit bigger. And you do want to be able to draw examples of these and recognize in a drawing of molecules where potential hydrogen bonds exist. So these are types of hydrogen bonds that are important. So here we have a carbonyl oxygen hydrogen bound to an NH group. That's important in secondary structure in proteins, and it's also important in base pairing in DNA and nucleic acids.